All right, DA, let me interrupt you. We've got some breaking news here.
Breaking.
Players Tribune. Gordon Hayward. After 7 years in Utah, I have decided to join the Boston Celtics.
There you go.
Gordon Hayward is headed to the Celtics. He announces it just moments ago on the Players Tribune. So, DA, let's get the reaction here. They needed to regroup. They did it. The full essay is out, and we'll get that tweeted out as well. But Gordon certainly now going to be an impact player in the East.
Yeah, look, Boston was already the top seed in the East, and this only enhances that. It only makes them stronger. Not as strong as they would be if they had Paul George as well, but certainly this makes them, a very formidable opponent to Cleveland in the Eastern Conference. I mean, Gordon Hayward is a guy that is, I think, well, at least in the East, will certainly be an all-star player going forward. I mean, he is a terrific player and helps them immensely, helps them with spacing, helps them with playmaking, helps them with rebounding, helps them at the ends of games. All of the things that he excelled at in Utah, he will excel at in Boston, and they will have another guy who can move the ball, who can shoot, who can post up. I mean, his game is very diverse, and obviously he has a great relationship with Brad Stevens, and so he's going to Boston. It's 4 years until now. 4 years, $128 million with a fourth-year player option. So those are the numbers for him, and that will allow him at the end of that third year to get that 10th year deal, that super deal. With the Celtics going forward. Well, he can't get the Supermax, but he can get a max contract from being a 10-year vet. So, it's, again, 4 years, $128 million with a fourth-year player option for Gordon Hayward in Boston.
Well, starting to skim over some of the letter that Gordon Hayward put together, it mostly is dedicated to the fans of the Utah Jazz. He said that it's been the craziest day of his life, that he wanted to make sure he got this right. He says that he's sorry it had to work out this way for Jazz fans because of how much he loved the community. He says it's a life-changing decision for me and my family and something we took really seriously. And again, Gordon Hayward telling the nation that he is headed to Boston. And now for the second straight year, Danny Ainge here lands a big fish in the free agent market. Last year it was Al Horford. This year it's Gordon Hayward. Now, just a couple of nights ago, DA, we were talking about how the Celtics swung and missed and didn't get Paul George, but give us the impact here on what this does, this lineup of Isaiah Thomas. You've got Gordon Hayward, Al Horford, and the young guys in Brown and Tatum, and how that impacts the Eastern Conference race.
Well, again, I think that they become a very, very legit, a much more serious opponent to Cleveland at the top of the Eastern Conference. I mean, this is a very, very talented player, one of the top, I would say, 15, 20 players in the league. When you add that, you don't have to give up anything. That makes you a very, very good a much better basketball team than you were before, and they were already good. So it gives Brad Stevens all kinds of options in terms of lineups and how he wants to play, and he can go small, and he can go big. I mean, he could put Gordon Hayward at the 2 sometimes. I mean, there's a lot of things that he could do with Gordon, and it gets them closer. And now it's Cleveland's got to come up with something, because Boston was not competitive, frankly, with Cleveland in this series. I think they're in this last Eastern Conference Finals. I think they will be that much more competitive now with Gordon Hayward going forward.
Gordon also talks about in his Player Tribune letter, which has just come out, announcing that he is going to Boston, saying that this is the toughest decision he's had to make since the one that he got together with Brad Stevens to make for him to leave Butler, go to the NBA. And he references the history, winning culture of the Celtics. Certainly did his homework in this one, talking about how much success New England sports teams have had. But then he ends the letter, and you get some chills reading this, says, referencing back to that tough decision he had to make back about 7 years ago, saying, and that unfinished business we had together back in 2010 when I left Butler for the NBA, as far as I'm concerned, all these years later, we still have it, and that's to win a championship. So clearly, DA, he's got his mind focused on what he can do in Boston.
Yeah, no question. I mean, look, he knows this guy. He knows this coach. He has obviously been steeped, whether it's recently or throughout his life, in terms of what Boston got, what the Celtics have accomplished. And look, it's a great move for him. It gives him an opportunity to, again, not only be an all-star, but be on a team that has a path to the finals. They have to figure out how to beat LeBron James like everybody else, but they got one more big piece now to figure out how to do that in Gordon Hayward. So you understand it. It makes sense. I feel bad for the people in Utah because, they built a great team over 5-6 year period with him kind of growing with that squad. And it's not like they were bad. They've become a very good team. It's not like they struggled to be competitive or they struggled to win games. They got better and better every year. And this one is something that hurts. I mean, you can't lose your best player for nothing and not have it hurt. And this certainly hurts this team a great deal. And it's going to be this is the rare opportunity that we've seen recently, Jared, of talent coming from west to east. We haven't seen much of that lately, and so this helps the Celtics a great deal. Certainly puts them and Cleveland well ahead, I think, of the rest of the pack in the Eastern Conference.